In the beginning, when light first split the silence of eternity, there was a name whispered in fear and reverence, a name even Lucifer would not dare to challenge. This was not the name of power forged in fire, but the name of love so consuming it could shatter the proud and humble the mighty. That name was Raziel, the angel of secrets, the keeper of mysteries, hidden before time began. And here lies the shocking truth. While Michael held the sword and Gabriel carried the message, Raziel carried the unbearable weight of divine love, a love so fierce it terrified heaven itself. Why would love be feared in a kingdom of light? Why would the strongest beings tremble not before wrath, but before compassion? Could it be that the greatest power in the universe is not conquest, not domination, but the choice to love when it hurts the most? These are the questions that unravel the silence of heaven. In this story, you will discover why even the morning star faltered when Raziel opened the scroll, why Michael himself bowed in awe before his brother, and why the mystery of love has always been more dangerous than the mightiest weapon. You will see the hidden truth behind the war in heaven, the secret encounters with prophets and kings, the trembling presence of Raziel at Bethlehem and at the cross, when the eternal plan was revealed. This is not just an angelic tale. It is a mirror held before your own soul. Because if Raziel carried the scars of love through eternity, then the question burns for you. Will you dare to carry such love in your own life? Before you answer, let me ask you, what if the secret that terrified Lucifer is the same secret that could heal you today? Leave your thoughts below. Share your voice, because someone may need your words as much as you need this story. And if your heart longs for more of these mysteries of heaven, subscribe and like, so that this truth may reach others who hunger for light. The creation of Raziel, formed by the hands of the Almighty. When the heavens were filled with song, and every angel was called into being by the voice of God, there was one who was not spoken into existence, but shaped with the very hands of the Eternal. This was Raziel, crafted not in haste, but in the rhythm of eternity, each fibre of his being woven with threads of divine compassion. While Michael was anointed with the fire of battle and Gabriel crowned with the voice of proclamation, Raziel bore something different, symbols burning upon his wings that no eye could fully comprehend, shifting like living flames, whispering truths beyond mortal thought. This act was not just creation, it was revelation. God did not merely fashion a servant, he poured into Raziel the very essence of memory and love, a mirror of the divine heart. Imagine the silence in heaven as even the seraphim who cry, "Holy, holy, holy," without end, fell quiet in awe. This silence speaks to us now, reminding us that the greatest works are often born not of noise, but of deep intentionality. In our lives, when we feel rushed, overlooked, or made to believe we are just another face in the crowd, the story of Raziel calls us to remember. We too are shaped by the hands of a Creator who does not make mistakes. Every scar, every symbol etched upon us is not random, but part of a greater design. If you have ever doubted your worth, let this truth heal you. Like Raziel, you were formed for something no one else can carry. Comment with one word that describes how this truth touches your heart, because someone else may find strength through your courage. And as Raziel bowed in perfect submission, we too are called to bow, not in fear, but in trust, knowing that the one who formed us knows the path we cannot yet see. This creation was not the end, but the beginning of secrets that would shake heaven itself, leading us into the mystery of forbidden knowledge. The forbidden knowledge. Secrets that could break heaven. Raziel was entrusted with what no other could bear, the scroll of mysteries, the living record of eternity. Within its glowing lines was not only the origin of the stars and the destinies of nations, but the terrible beauty of redemption, the plan of love that would demand suffering. Imagine holding in your hands the blueprint of the universe, knowing every triumph and every fall, every betrayal and every act of mercy. The burden of this knowledge is almost unthinkable, and yet Raziel bore it not with pride, but with sorrowful humility. Knowledge without love destroys, and love without humility collapses into despair. We see it mirrored in our world. When technology advances without compassion, it enslaves rather than liberates. When ambition grows without humility, it topples families and kingdoms alike. The Tower of Babel was not built with weak hands, but with proud hearts that refused to love. And so it fell. Raziel's charge was to guard against such arrogance, to embody the warning that wisdom without love is the path of Lucifer. Think about your own life. How many times have you desired to know the future, to control outcomes, to demand answers that perhaps your heart could not yet bear? There are truths that break unless we approach them with surrender. Raziel's very being teaches us that the greatest wisdom is not in seeing all, but in choosing love when we see enough to be undone. This is why even Lucifer hesitated in Raziel's presence, for pride cannot stand long in the face of compassion. Let this lesson heal you. Stop demanding to know the why of every pain, and begin to embrace the who that walks with you in it. Share below one lesson where pain turned into growth for you, because your memory may be the scroll another soul needs to keep moving forward. These secrets Raziel carried were not meant to be hidden forever. They were meant to prepare for a confrontation that would change heaven's story forever. The encounter with Lucifer. Pride meets compassion. There came a day when the most radiant of angels, the morning star, approached the guardian of secrets. Lucifer, clothed in brilliance, wings like crystal reflecting dawn, music flowing from his being like rivers of light, stood before Raziel under the tree of knowledge in the garden of heaven. He saw Raziel's scrolls shimmering with living fire, and envy began to poison his perfection. He demanded answers, demanded access, demanded equality with what was reserved only for the broken-hearted. Raziel looked upon him not with anger but with tears, for he already knew what was unfolding. When Lucifer pressed, "Show me what you hide," Raziel warned him, but love compelled him to open just a fraction of the scroll, and in that instant heaven trembled. Lucifer saw the plan of redemption, the Son of the Almighty descending into flesh, mocked, scourged, pierced, killed. But deeper still, he saw himself, his rebellion, his fall, his betrayal written into the story of salvation, and the crushing truth that even this rebellion would be used to magnify love. Pride recoiled. Lucifer shouted, "I reject this love. If this is perfection, I choose imperfection." It was not ignorance that damned him, but the refusal to embrace a love that suffers. Raziel's eyes, heavy with tears, whispered back, "I choose to love even when it breaks me. That is the difference between us." And in that eternal moment, heaven's first fracture opened. Here lies the lesson. Many reject love not because they do not understand it, but because it asks too much. In our world, how many reject forgiveness because it feels unfair? How many walk away from relationships, from God, from hope, not because truth is unclear, but because love hurts? The story of Lucifer and Raziel is not distant myth. It is the mirror of our choices today. You and I stand daily at the same scroll. Will we choose pride that refuses pain, or compassion that carries it? Comment your thoughts. Do you believe love is still worth it, even when it wounds? Your answer might just spark healing in someone who has nearly given up. And as Lucifer stormed away, the stage was set for the war of heaven. But Raziel, marked by compassion, would wage a different battle, not with swords, but with the memory of eternal love. The war in heaven. Light against darkness. The heavens shook as if creation itself were tearing apart. A third of the hosts lifted their wings against the throne, following the brilliance of the morning star into rebellion, while Michael and the faithful stood in blazing ranks, their swords forged from fire that burned before the throne of God. Thunder roared, stars trembled, the cosmos itself leaned into the sound of battle. It was a clash, not of mortals, but of eternities colliding. Yet, amid the storm, one was missing. Raziel, the guardian of secrets, did not stand with the sword-bearers, nor with the rebels. His war was of a different kind, the battle to guard the memory of divine love itself. Imagine the whispers of angels who wondered why he held back, why he did not wield his unmatched wisdom to strike. But Raziel knew, some wars are not won by force, some are preserved by remembrance. And here is where his lesson touches us. How often do we feel pressured to fight battles that are not ours, to prove our strength by noise and anger? But Raziel shows another way. Sometimes the greater courage is to hold silence, to remember truth, and to refuse to let love be forgotten. In your own life, the greatest fight may not be with enemies around you, but with the temptation to forget who you are when storms rage. Comment one time when you chose peace instead of conflict, because your story might teach someone else that love is stronger than fury. As Michael drove back the armies of darkness and Lucifer fell like lightning, Raziel's war continued, unseen, yet eternal, the war to carry love into history. And it is this war that brings him into the story of humanity itself. Raziel's silent mission in human history, a witness across ages. From the gates of Eden to the hills of Bethlehem, Raziel walked in silence, carrying the living scroll that pulsed like a heart. When Adam and Eve were cast out, Raziel left them with words of hope written in fire, a whisper that though the garden was lost, the promise was not gone. With Abraham on the mountain, Raziel stood unseen as the knife was lifted and whispered that one day a father would not withhold his son. When Israel cried in Egypt, and blood marked the doors, Raziel beheld the power of deliverance and the fragility of human memory. For soon after, the people forgot. With the prophets, he planted visions. Isaiah beholding the suffering servant, Jeremiah weeping for a covenant written on hearts, Ezekiel seeing dry bones rise with breath. Raziel's presence was never loud, never dramatic. It was a thread of continuity tying heaven's story to earth. And this lesson is for us. Sometimes our role is not to shout, but to witness, not to dominate, but to remind. In a world that forgets quickly, where even miracles fade from memory, we are called to be living reminders of love. Think of your life. How many times have you seen a miracle, a breakthrough, a healing, and then days later doubted it again? We are all like Israel, forgetting as fast as we receive. So, Raziel's mission shows us the power of remembrance, the sacred duty of holding on to what God has done. If you have ever kept a journal, a letter, or even a scar that reminds you of where you have been brought from, then you carry a piece of Raziel's calling. Share in the comments what memory of hope you hold on to when life grows heavy, because your testimony may be the light that pulls someone else through the dark. And this silent mission reached its climax not in prophecy, but in the moment when eternity entered time, when the Word became flesh. Witness of the Incarnation, love made flesh. On a night unlike any other, Raziel descended near a humble manger in Bethlehem. The angel who had seen the throne aflame now gazed at straw, at a newborn cry, at the eternal wrapped in cloth. His tears of sorrow turned to tears of awe, for the Creator of galaxies was now an infant who nursed at the breast of a virgin. This was the mystery he had guarded, the plan too terrible and too beautiful for Lucifer to accept. The Almighty had chosen not thunder or fire, but weakness, poverty, and humility as his weapon. As Gabriel proclaimed to shepherds and choirs of heaven thundered glory, Raziel knelt in silence, trembling at the sight of love made flesh. Consider the contrast. The God who sculpted mountains now held in arms too small to lift even a pebble. The one who commands stars now resting under the watch of peasants. And yet, this is the healing truth. Power is not in the noise of domination, but in the whisper of vulnerability. For us today, this is the lesson that transforms. We spend our lives trying to appear strong, successful, untouchable. Yet the Incarnation reveals that the deepest impact comes when we dare to be human, to be fragile, to be real. Think of how healing it feels when someone admits their weakness and you realize you are not alone. This is the Bethlehem miracle still alive. If the Eternal could embrace weakness to show his love, then so can we. Comment below one area of your life where you've discovered strength in vulnerability, because your confession may be the manger where someone else finds hope. From this night onward, Raziel's sorrow began to shift, for he saw with his own eyes the love that would grow into miracles, parables, and ultimately the cross itself. The story was unfolding, and the angel of secrets was now the angel of witness, beholding the love that would break and heal the world. The Passion, when love and sorrow collided. The night of Gethsemane was heavy with silence, a silence that crushed the heart of Raziel. He had watched centuries unfold, seen kingdoms rise and fall, but never had he felt such weight as when the Son of God fell to his knees in the garden, sweating drops of blood. Raziel trembled, torn apart by the agony he could not lift, for his mission was not to interfere, but to witness. He guarded every heartbeat, every cry, every betrayal. As soldiers dragged Jesus away, Raziel's wings darkened with sorrow, yet he remained, because someone had to remember. He saw the mocking, the scourging, the thorns pressed into flesh, the nails driven through hands that once healed multitudes. And in those hours, Raziel felt himself breaking, yet it was in the breaking that he understood why he had been created. To carry the memory of love that bleeds, of hope that endures even when crushed. Think of your own life. How many times have you had to stand powerless, watching someone you love suffer? The helplessness that burns inside you is the shadow of Raziel's anguish. But the lesson here is clear. Love that does not suffer is not love at all. If you have ever walked through sorrow for someone else, you carry a reflection of heaven's greatest story. Share below if you believe suffering can have purpose, because your perspective may help heal someone drowning in despair. The passion was not the end. It was the stage for the most powerful reversal the world has ever seen. The resurrection. Love that turned defeat into victory. On the third day, when the stone rolled away, Raziel's tears of grief became tears of triumph. For the first time in eternity, the angel who carried sorrow began to dance. His wings, once heavy with scars of memory, now burst with light that shook the heavens. He saw the empty tomb, the folded cloth, the risen Lord walking out of death itself, and he knew love had won. This was the fulfillment of the mystery hidden in the scrolls he had guarded. What Lucifer rejected, Raziel now celebrated. A love so fierce it turned the grave into a doorway, sorrow into song, despair into hope. And here is where the story enters your life. Every time you rise after a fall, every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, you echo that resurrection. It is not just history, it is living reality. Imagine the joy of Raziel as all of heaven erupted in praise, not for power that conquered by the sword, but for a Savior who conquered by laying his life down. This is why even Michael, the warrior, bowed in awe before Raziel, because Raziel bore the scars of memory that testified, "Love is stronger than death." In your own journey, let this truth heal you. Your scars are not signs of defeat, but reminders of survival. Comment with one victory you've experienced after deep pain, because your testimony may be the light for someone else's resurrection. The joy of Raziel was not private. It was contagious, igniting the stars to sing louder than ever. And yet his mission was not finished, for he would carry this victory into eternity. The legacy of Raziel, guardian of eternal love. Now Raziel stands as the guardian not of weapons, but of wounds, not of thrones, but of love that outlives death. He welcomes the redeemed with eyes that still hold eternity, and when souls ask, "How can God love us this much?" he shows them the radiant scars upon his wings. These scars are not marks of shame, but proof of memory, that every tear, every trial, every act of faith is seen, preserved, and treasured. In this, Raziel teaches us what real power looks like. It is not domination, it is not fear. It is the quiet strength to love when it costs everything. This is the healing lesson for you and me, to become living witnesses of love, even in a world that forgets. Think of the people in your life who may never read a scripture, never enter a church, but they will read your kindness, your forgiveness, your choice to keep loving. That is your scroll, your testimony written before men and angels. If Raziel's mission was to guard eternal love, then ours is to reflect it daily. Will we choose to be scarred by bitterness or scarred by love? That choice changes everything. Share your thoughts. What kind of legacy do you want your scars to tell? Because your answer might awaken someone else's courage to keep loving through their wounds. And so, the story of Raziel is not just ancient myth. It is the call that whispers through time, to remember, to witness, to love without end. This is the legacy that terrified Lucifer and inspired Michael. The legacy of a love so unstoppable it can only be described in one word: eternal. And now, as the story of Raziel draws to a close, let your heart hold this truth like fire in your hands. Love is the only power that never fades, the only force that terrifies darkness, the only strength that can break chains that even angels could not bear. Raziel stood in silence while Michael wielded the sword and Lucifer raised rebellion, yet his silence was not weakness. It was the weight of carrying the memory of love that bleeds, love that heals, love that never gives up. This is why even the most radiant angel fell, because he could not accept that love meant sacrifice. But Raziel embraced it, and through his tears he bore the scars that proved eternity's greatest secret. Love is stronger than death. Think of your own journey. You have fought battles no one else has seen, carried wounds you cannot fully explain, walked through nights where hope seemed far away. And yet you are still here. That is your testimony. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are your wings, like Raziel's, marked with memory, living proof that you have survived, that you have loved, that you have not given up. Do not despise your scars. They are the evidence of your calling. They are reminders that you too were created to carry something eternal. Look at the world around you, broken, divided, hungry for meaning. People chase power, fame, knowledge, but they forget the one truth Raziel guarded, that the greatest treasure is love that costs something. The love that forgives even when betrayed, the love that serves even when exhausted, the love that gives even when empty. That is the love that heals, the love that transforms, the love that Jesus embodied on the cross. And this is the love that is being offered to you right now, not as an idea, but as a living reality that wants to reshape your life from the inside out. Imagine the moment Raziel knelt at Bethlehem, seeing the eternal in a manger. Imagine his anguish at Calvary, watching the Lord of glory pierced and mocked. Imagine his dance at the empty tomb when love tore open the grave. That same love is reaching for you right now, in your darkness, in your confusion, in your quiet desperation. You are not forgotten. The scroll of your life is not lost. Every tear, every prayer, every moment you thought no one saw is written in fire before the throne. Raziel guarded memory so you could know this truth. You are seen, you are loved, you are worth everything heaven has given. And this is why this story is more than history. It is an invitation. The same choice that Lucifer rejected is set before you. Will you accept a love that suffers, or turn away because it feels too heavy? This is not about religion or ritual. It is about the courage to believe that love is still worth it. And yes, it will cost you pride, bitterness, self-protection, but in exchange it will give you what nothing else can: healing, peace, hope that never dies. Pause for a moment and let that truth sink in. Think of one place in your life where you need this kind of love. Maybe it is in your family, where words have cut deeper than knives. Maybe it is in your friendships, where trust has been shattered. Maybe it is in your own soul, where shame whispers that you will never be enough. That is the exact place where the love Raziel guarded longs to enter. And when it does, it will not leave you the same. It will take your weakness and turn it into strength, your sorrow, and turn it into testimony, your scars, and turn them into wings. This is why this message matters. Because in a world that celebrates noise and power, you are called to carry something different, the quiet, unstoppable force of love that heals. If you choose it, your life becomes a story others will read, a living scroll that proves hope is real. And just as Raziel's mission was not to shout but to witness, so too your mission may be as simple as showing up with kindness, offering forgiveness when it hurts, speaking truth when it costs, choosing compassion when it would be easier to turn away. That is how you change the world, one act of love at a time. So let me ask you, and I want you to answer in the comments. Do you believe love is worth the pain it sometimes brings? Your answer might be the spark that helps someone else choose to hold on when they are ready to quit. This is more than interaction. It is a way to turn your voice into light for someone who desperately needs it. And if this story has spoken to your soul, if it has lifted you in even the smallest way, I invite you to give back, not as obligation, but as a way of sharing energy. A like, a subscribe, a comment may seem small, but they are the seeds that allow me to keep creating these messages of hope, these stories of heaven, these reminders of the love that never dies. If you have found light here, help me carry it further, because there are countless souls still wandering in the dark, waiting for the flame you now hold. Every gesture of support, no matter how small, is priceless to me. It is fuel for this mission to spread the truth of the love that terrified Lucifer and healed Raziel. Remember this: the story of Raziel is not the story of an angel in the distant past. It is the story of your life. The same love that carried him through sorrow is the same love reaching for you today. Do not let it pass by. Embrace it, carry it, live it. Let it mark you, even if it breaks you, because on the other side of that breaking is the resurrection that will make you whole. And when you finally rise, your scars will shine, and you will know that you have become a guardian too, not of secrets, but of love that never ends. So hold this truth, treasure it, and let it guide you forward. The greatest war is not against darkness outside, but against forgetting the light within. And the greatest victory is not in conquering others, but in choosing to love without end. That is the legacy of Raziel, the lesson of heaven, the call to your soul. If this message has stirred your heart, let it not stop here. Pass it on, live it out, and never forget. Love always wins.